Hit record. All right. So the class today is all about the basics of Gmail. So if you have any questions, if you can try and keep yourself muted when you're not talking, but otherwise feel free to unmute yourself and just say, hey, Jillian, or however you want to do it, and just ask your question. So we have lots of time for that. And if we need to go off topic, we certainly can if there's a particular question that you need to ask. So, hi Trish, I see you're there as well.
Hi, I'm so sorry that I'm late, or like late. In my mind, it's not late because it was said 11 when I was dialing in. It just took this, it wasn't working. Anyway, hi Jillian. Can I say something before we start?
Sure thing.
Okay, I just want to say thank you to you, Jillian, because you have done such an amazing job stepping up with these cool classes. Ted, I know you've been with us before, and I don't know who else has, but welcome to the class. I'm really excited that Jillian agreed to teach Gmail 101, so I'm going to be listening in too.
All right, well, thank you very much, Trish. And so let me start the class. Let me share my screen here so everybody can see it. If for some reason you can't see it, let me know, wave, shout, however. So we've had some.
I also did not realize you guys couldn't see me when I was speaking until just now.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Jillian.
Okay, so. All righty here. So. I assume everybody can see my screen here? Okay, good. So let me pull up the slides. So our class today obviously is on the topic of Gmail 101. So the basics, like I said before, we can certainly get a little bit more involved if everybody has the patience for it. I will apologize ahead of time. These can be pretty dry topics, so I do understand that. So first question, what is Gmail? Well, as I'm sure most of you know, because you're probably approaching this with a Gmail account, it's the free email service provided by Google. You can access it from lots of different devices, your computers, your iPads, or Android tablets or smartphones. If you don't have a Gmail account, you can go to mail.google.com to create an account. That's also how you sign in, usually, to your Gmail, unless you have the Gmail app. You can download that for free from your iPad, your iOS App Store, or your Google Play Store. You can also get it from your Mac App Store or for Windows. So the first thing that we're going to talk about, important features. When you get an email in your Gmail, you have lots of different buttons that pop up and lots of different things that you can do with it. So these are all of the typical buttons that you will see under any message or around any message that will come up in Gmail. And these are generally what they mean. So you have the options to archive a message, report it as spam. So if you end up with something that's junk in your inbox, you can report it as spam. You can obviously delete it. You can mark it as unread. You can mark it as read. You can snooze it, meaning you don't want to deal with it right now because you're just overwhelmed. You've got to deal with it later. And you can move it to a label. Well, the way we're going to find out here is Gmail does not have folders. They call them labels. So it has a folder little icon on it, but they call them labels. That's just Gmail's way of dealing with it. So the other things that you can do, you can add a label to your emails, or you can remove one. You can reply to the message, meaning if you have a group message, you can just reply to one person. Or if you reply all, which is these two arrows, you can reply to everybody. So you can do one or the other. If you just want one person to see it, you can just reply to them, or you can reply to everybody in the stream so everybody sees it. You can also forward a message onto somebody else. Like you got an article that you love and you want your best friend to see it, you can forward it to them. You can add it as an attachment into a separate email, and you can mute the message, meaning it also kind of disappears in your message stream. So let me go down here. The next thing we're going to talk about is the way Gmail breaks its inbox into these separate tabs, breaks it into customizable subject tabs. So by default, you'll have your primary, which is your inbox. That's where everybody sends your messages to. You'll have social, where if you subscribe to Facebook or Twitter or Google Plus or any other, LinkedIn, all of those updates, new followers, new comments from followers, they will all come up under your social tab. Then you have promotions, which they try to put all the ads and different things like that under it. And you'll have updates. Updates are like Zoom meetings. If you have a Zoom meeting, who's joined it, or when it's going to happen, or any of those things can be updates about you need to update your account, or you need to add a new password, what have you. They usually show up under updates. So let me minimize this and then we can get into Gmail here. As you can see in practice, in my personal account, all that shows up is I have primary, which is my main inbox. I have social and I have promotions. So if you look at, we get into settings, how you access your tabs to change this. Because many of you may say, well, I don't want to see these, or I want them to look different. The way you access any of this, you go to the top, if you can see my cursor, the top right hand of your screen, up here, and you see this funny little cog gear symbol. When you click on that gear, that is your settings. That is all of your Gmail settings. That's how you access everything, is through this little cog. So you click on that, and you go to see all settings. Okay, so we're in see all here. Then you go into inbox. There's this whole row of tabs on the top. You click on the one that says inbox. And right underneath it, you have inbox type. You can choose default, which is what we have here. But you can choose to say, I only want to see the most important messages first, or I only want to see unread first, or ones that I have highlighted first. There's multiple ways that you can set up your inbox. Then underneath it, this is what we were just talking about. You have categories. I have only social and promotions clicked, but I can click updates and I can click forums. So any of these can be checked or unchecked. And as you do that, it will change the way you see your inbox and how it categorizes what mails you receive.
I have a question.
Sure thing. Mm-hmm.
On the first, where it says inbox type, default, what is the default on that?
Okay, the default. So let me go back, and I got back by just clicking on inbox in my left sidebar here. The default looks like this. It basically, you just have whatever's your newest messages. So if there's no particular order to them, if you had 50 messages that came in this morning, they'll all just come in basically categorized by time only. So by one sent at 8 o'clock, one's 8:30, one's 9, and it's so on. It goes like that. Whereas if you chose to get into something other than this, you can do important first, and you can choose which messages are important. You can also do only the messages that are unread. So it will constantly put up to the top whichever messages you haven't read. So if you see in my inbox, I have 2 here that are not read. So if I had the inbox type that said unread first, these would be at the top of my inbox, regardless of when they were sent. They could have been sent to me 3 weeks ago, and they will always appear at the top because I chose to say I only want to see what is unread first. If I choose to do starred first, well, then anything that I star will come up on the top of my inbox. Doesn't matter how long ago it was sent or what the subject is. Make sense? Okay. Any other questions so far? Lisa?
Sorry, I should have asked you before you changed topics. The very first thing you said was archives. How do you archive something and where does it go? Where do you get
Okay,
that?
so if you're going to archive something, you have all of these different boxes on the side over here that says like inbox, starred, snoozed.
Yes.
And if you do snooze, like let's say if I click on, you see how, okay, you see all these little boxes that come up on the left side of every message in your Gmail. You see there's a little square box there?
Yes.
If you click on that, you click on that little box, that is how your whole list of options come up in the top, such as like labels, move to, add, snooze, etc. So if I'm going to put archive, let me click on archive. Okay, so okay. Okay. So I know that if you archive in the past, you have had them end up under your snoozed messages. At the moment, they've changed a few things. So let's see here. If we get into all settings, it's a good question to ask because I'm honestly not sure where they're putting everything now. So let me see what we can find here. Okay, so okay, hang on one second. Okay. Okay. All right, so if you archive a message, that answers the question. So if you archive a message, basically it disappears from your inbox completely, and you'll only see it again if somebody replies to it. So basically it's a way of dealing with a cluttered inbox.
Okay, so that's not someplace where you can keep files to be revisited and reread.
Not very easily, no.
Okay.
So,
Where-
and if you mute a message, what's going to happen is all of the replies to that message, let's say you have 50 people you send a message to, all of your colleagues at your office. If you mute that message, any of the replies that people send to it will not show up in your inbox. And it's a way of, again, not cluttering your inbox so you don't have to see the 50 replies from your colleagues that maybe don't apply to you. Maybe you sent this message on behalf of somebody else and you don't need to see their replies because they're just not that important. So
in my business, I do have to see those replies and I
Yeah.
do have to have breadcrumbs back to the original message I sent them. I
Yeah.
need to know what I said to them so that I can follow through.
most businesses do, but I think it's just, like I said, it's another way of dealing with a very cluttered, crowded inbox.
Okay,
Not
so
all of these things always make sense. They're options like everything else. So These are
Unfortunately
all
labeled.
just different options of things that you can do.
So they basically disappear unless somebody replies to it.
If you archive, yes. So it's kind of a strange way of dealing with things. So
Can she
The-
just make another folder and put
yeah,
it?
that would be the cleaner way of dealing with things. If you don't want to see something, instead of archiving it, the easier way of dealing with it, and FYI, if you're going to put it in a folder, if somebody replies, it will still end up in your inbox again. So you will still see the replies from people. But the cleaner way of dealing with, like if you want to get rid of a message, you don't want to see it in your inbox because you're just drowning in emails and you don't want to see them all. The cleaner way of dealing with it is to click on your message on that little square box there, and then you'll see a file looking symbol that appears in the top that has an arrow, and it says move to underneath it. So you click on that, and I will show you how to create a new file in a minute, but I already have one created so you can just see how you move it. If I go down here to this file, and then I click on that, that message is automatically moved. That's the cleanest way of dealing with it. And that way, if somebody still responds, let's say it's an important business kind of thing, well, you may want to keep that in your inbox until it's not so important. But let's just say you want to have it under, okay, this contract for this date, and you create a file for that. If somebody responds to that message, you'll still see it in your inbox. It will come back into your inbox again each time you have a reply.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. So the next thing, let's see, let me go back here to, okay. All right. So this was dealing with those tabs on the top. And as I said, you can change those. You can have more, you can have less. All based on your settings. This little gear symbol at the top, and then you click on all settings and it allows you to access that. So those are your categories. The next thing the Gmail can do and will do is called nudges. So nudges are something that are automatic. You can either turn them on or turn them off, but by default, they're on in Gmail. Nudges look like this. So let's say your friend sent you an email and you replied to it 3 days ago, but you were meant to reply again with something else. Let's say you're planning a party. You haven't replied. Gmail will actually send you this thing behind it that says received 3 days ago. Do you want to reply? And you can either click yes or no. So it's kind of an automatic way of saying, hey, we saw that you got this and you haven't responded to it, or maybe you did, but you know, it's been a while. So they'll let you know that. So if you want to deal with nudges, that's something that you don't want to have, or you do, you again access it through that cog symbol at the top. Everything in settings in Gmail is always accessed through that gear in the top right of your screen. So click on that and you click on see all settings again. So okay, come on, split pane. And let me go back to this here. Okay. Whoops. Okay, so you can obviously filter your mail. There's lots of different things that you can do here. All of these are your different basic settings. So if you want to deal with, okay, so if you want to deal with nudges, as we were talking about, you're going to access that through your general settings. So we got into this, we hit that cog symbol, and then we hit see all settings, and you get into it under your general. And then these are all the different things that you can do, obviously, through it. You can undo send, you can reply to all or some. There's lots of different things you can do. You can also change your text and lots of other different things. It will even like suggest emails that you can reply to and various other different things. This is also where you can create a signature. You've probably seen lots of people who have like email signatures. They pick a favorite quote or they do something like that. You do that under your general settings and you hit create new. So you can also add in your picture. You can choose all sorts of different things, what you see. This is where you can set up a vacation responder as well. Like, I will be out of the office for the next week. You can put that in here and then click apply. I have mine turned off, but if I had mine turned on, it will say first day, last day. So you can choose to do that from here. So, and if you, what I said about nudges before, you control nudges right through here. There's this little box that says nudges. And I have both of them checked. One that says suggest emails to reply to, meaning it will nudge me saying you need to reply to this, even if I have. They're not always so good about knowing which ones you have replied to or not. If it's been more than a couple of days, they will poke you again and say, please respond to this. And I also have it set up for suggest emails to follow up on, meaning send emails you might need to follow up on. You can uncheck both of those and then it won't nudge you at all. So you won't even see that. Make sense? Okay. Any other questions about general settings or things you can do?
On that nudging, can you, instead of turning off, you know, the suggested ones to follow up on, can you just turn it off on one particular email?
No, you can't, sadly. You can choose to get out of it. What basically happens is, I can't sadly show you because I don't have a nudged email at the moment to use as an example. But what happens when you have something like this? Okay, you see one of these, it says received 3 days ago, reply. If you hover over that, there'll be a little box underneath it that says ignore. And you can click ignore and then this will go away because maybe you already did respond to it. So that's their way of doing it email by email. But you can't turn it off completely. You can just choose to ignore it and then it won't come back for that email. So, any other questions to do with that? All right. So the next thing that you can do with your Gmail account, you can take action from your inbox without actually opening a message, meaning you can RSVP to an event, you can snooze a message, you can also open attachments without actually clicking into an email. So if I have this as my email here, I can click on each one of these pictures that somebody sent me without actually reading the message. If I'm really busy, or maybe I just talked to this person and I know what they're going to say, I can just click on those images and see them. So an example of that would be, okay. All right, so a good example of that would be if I see this right here. Here's a PDF that was sent, and I click on just the PDF underneath that. As you can see, just the PDF pops up without seeing the email. So it's again a time-saving kind of feature. Okay, so the next thing that you can do is you can avoid suspicious emails. Google is pretty good about spam detection and stuff like that. They're supposedly like 98% plus at blocking all spam and keeping out suspicious kind of things. If you do get one that they think is spam, this is usually what comes up. This message seems dangerous, and you will get this big red thing that is actually in the subject line of your email that Google puts there. And, it says it contains a suspicious link. Well, the only thing that you have to watch is, yes, this is usually spam, but it can also be that if somebody had problems with their email, let's just say the internet was having problems that day, this can sometimes come up as a fault, and it isn't in fact spam. So if you want to get rid of this because it is spam, you can click on just the little box that they provide in this message, and it will disappear right into your spam, and that's it. You can also choose to say, no, I trust this message. If you hover over this when you get a spam message, there's another thing underneath this that will say trust. And you can click trust if, let's say, it's your friend's email that somehow accidentally got put in spam. So the next thing, let's take a look here. Okay, whoops, wrong thing I got into. So let me minimize this. So how you access your spam folder. Let's say you think something got accidentally thrown into spam. That's kind of an important one to know. Something, maybe you're expecting a really important message and it hasn't appeared, and you want to see, well, gee, maybe it's in my spam folder. Google is a little bit tough with how you find your spam. You have to go all the way down this left sidebar here. You have to go all the way down until you find a little arrow that's a downward arrow, and it says more next to it. You click on that, and then you go down, and suddenly down here is where you find your trash, and generally where you will find your spam, what have you. There's even categories and all of that. So you can also look for it if you just type spam in your search bar in the top. That's your other way. That will get you straight into your spam folder. So those are the two ways. You either look for it on your side or you type it in the top. And see, messages have been in spam more than 30 days will automatically be deleted. So you want to check that regularly. And if you have no spam, it will come up with that silly message that says, hooray, no spam here. So. And see, in my case, you can also choose to reorder where you see things like your spam folder. So any other questions about spam folder or spam messages or security or any of those kind of things right now?
I do. I'm a true dinosaur. I don't know anything about spam folders. How do you set it up?
It's something that's automatic. You do not need to set it up. It automatically comes with every email. It doesn't matter which one you have. You could have Outlook or Gmail or Yahoo or iCloud. They all come with a spam folder. They all are accessed slightly differently, but most of them, you will find it buried somewhere in your left-hand sidebar. All you have to do is look for it.
So you just indicate any given message as spam, and it will stay in the folder up to 30 days, and then it's gone.
Yes. You can also choose, if you have something in your spam folder, you can also delete it from your spam folder. So let me show you here. Let me go all the way down here.
Can you save it back if it was an
Yes, you
accident?
can. That's what I'm going to show you.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so you go into spam here. And if I look at, these are true spam messages, as you're going to see. Most of these are like, I mean, true junk, those dear friend messages or some ad that somebody sent, you know, #1 page listing on Google, those kind of awful things like that. But if I look at this one here, that I don't believe is a spam, and I say, gee, this doesn't look like it's a spam to me, I can click on look safe.
Okay.
And I click on look safe. And then if I want to move this and I say, gee, I don't want to see this in my spam folder, up on the top above the message, it says not spam. I can also delete it forever. But if I click not spam, it got it out of my spam folder and it put it in my inbox.
Okay.
So by the same context, if I say I want to dump all of these messages because I don't want to wait 30 days, they're clogging up my spam folder and they're scary and whatever, you can click on all of these messages on the left-hand side, those little boxes, and it says on the top, delete forever. And I click delete forever, and it's being slow. There we go. They're gone. So that's kind of the easiest and best way of dealing with that.
Thank you.
Sure.
So what if something got into your inbox that should be spam? How do you mark it as spam?
Okay, if something got into your inbox that, let's say, you think is spam, I'm just trying to find a good way of showing you guys something that I don't really care about. Well, if I click on one of these, let's just say, okay, I click on this message, I highlight it, and then on the top, you see that little floating list of icons that's in the top. You have that one that looks like a stop sign with an exclamation point through it. And that says underneath it, report spam. And if I click on that, that will take this straight to my spam folder. Because basically I'm saying, this is junk. I don't want this in my inbox because it could be a virus or it could be something, a phishing scam or whatever. So, make sense? Okay. So, any other questions before we move on here, or I hope I'm not boring everybody. Okay, so this is what we just talked about with spam. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is basics of your Gmail settings. So some of that we've already gone over. So you can customize your Gmail theme. You can add a custom email signature. You can obviously choose the appearance of your inbox. You can choose what type of inbox you see. You can add productivity aids like stars, flags, etc. You can import from another email account. And Ted, I believe you were asking about that in our last class. So we'll talk about that in just a minute. You can also choose to unsend an email up to 30 seconds after sending it. So let's say you have 2 colleagues and one of them is named John and the other one is Jake. And you accidentally sent hi Jake to an email that was meant for John. You could choose to say, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. And as long as you catch it before 30 seconds have gone, you can actually unsend it and they'll never have seen your mistake. You can also self-destruct an email. Very mission impossible, I know, but it is something that you can actually do, where it will say this email will destruct in whatever, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes. So the person that you send it to cannot download it, copy it, or save it in any way, which could be useful, I guess, if you have a very sensitive piece of information that you want somebody to see, but not necessarily to be able to save. So you can choose the period of time that they can see it for. So again, let's go back to the inbox. How you do all of that is again through that gear symbol in the top right of your screen. So you click on that. So the first things that you see is under your quick settings. Those are the first things that come up. You have your density of the number of messages that you see. I have mine on default, but you can do comfortable. You can do compact. Now everything's really tight, as you can see. You see how all the messages changed in my inbox? So if I go back to comfortable, you see how they're spaced out again? But if I did compact, they're all so tight, I can barely see anything. So let me go back to default. You can change your theme. As you can see, I have a theme engaged for my inbox that's like a forest. You can choose one of their stock images, or you can upload your own. So if you have a favorite family photo, for your favorite place you've been, you can choose to do that. Sometimes it actually helps with productivity, at least that's what I found. If you have a picture behind your email instead of just staring at a white screen, because you can kind of, your eyes almost glaze over after a while when you stare at something that's like a white screen. So it helps to see something that you like. So if you have any interest in uploading your own photo, you go Theme, View All. And see, you can go to My Photos. On the bottom left of that little tab, it says My Photos. And that's how you can upload a picture. Or you can pick one of theirs. They have lots of different beautiful stock images, as you can see. So let me go back to settings here. So the next thing that you can see under your quick settings is your inbox type. I just have mine at the moment under default, but like I said before, you can choose to have your important messages first. You could do all of your unread messages first, and all of your starred messages first. So there's lots of different ways that you can set this up. You can also choose to change the way you see each message. So you could split your reading pane. So if you want to see, let me do right of inbox. If I change the reading pane and I do right of inbox, now you see it just comes up like this. And if I select a message to see, the message pops up and my inbox pops up. So that's what right of inbox, if you split your reading pane, looks like. To me, that's a little bit confusing, but some people like to set it up like that. So, Nancy? You're still muted.
Okay. I have that on my UNM inbox and I didn't know how to get rid of it. So, I mean, sometimes I can scoot it over.
Right.
And I hated that. It's like I can't read the email. It's like,
okay, if your
So I
UNM
need to-
inbox is set up like through Gmail or some sort of a variant of Gmail, you go up to that little gear symbol on the top and you click, you go scroll down under your quick settings, which is the main thing that pops up right away. You go down to reading pane
split
and you
screen.
hit no splits.
No, okay, yeah, because I thought, why is that? I had no idea. Okay.
That's what that is. That's just, see, if I go back to no split, the whole thing comes up. And so if I get
Yeah.
into a particular message, I can
You
view
can-
the entire
yeah.
message.
Thank you.
Sure. So these are just your quick settings. So the basic things that you might want to do. If you want to get more advanced, like we were in before, you go to See All Settings, which is in the top of that pane. I click on that. So you can change the language that you see. Maybe you're more comfortable in another language like Spanish or French or German. You can change that from here. Obviously, this one by default is set in English US. You can also, if you are from Australia or New Zealand or Britain, you could choose to change it to English UK. So all of the spellings will come up in the British spelling. So it comes up with your phone numbers, default country code. So if let's say you're visiting a family member for the next year in Europe, you could change your country code to whichever country you're going to be in. So that way every phone number that you type in automatically comes up in their format instead of in the format for Albuquerque, New Mexico, let's say. This is what I said before about the Mission Impossible self-destruct messages. Here's undo send. So you can cancel a message up to 30 seconds. I have mine set on 5, but you can do it up to 30 seconds. All you do is you just hit undo send. So you can show your hover actions, meaning that's how you get quick access to archive, delete, mark as read, etc. You can choose your text style from here. So if you don't like the text, or let's say you want it to be bigger, the default is sans serif, but you can choose anything. If you have a particular text that you really like, a font that you really love, like Garamond, for instance, which is this one, you can click on that and your entire inbox will come out in Garamond. Or if you like Comic Sans, some people say that that makes them more productive. I've heard that before. Some writers say for editing, they throw their entire manuscript into Comic Sans and suddenly they see all the mistakes in crystal clarity. So you can also choose your text size from here. This is your text color and this is your text size, those two little T's. So I have it on normal, but you can have it on large, you can have it on huge. You know, these are the ways that you can change that. So, and then it will show you underneath, this is what your body text will look like. So any other questions so far? Okay. You can change different images, the way you will see an image. You can do grammar suggestions on or off, spelling suggestions on or off, meaning it has an automatic grammar checker and spell checker built in when you type. So you can choose to turn that on and off right here. You can also choose to turn autocorrect on and off. So if you're like me, you've had those obnoxious things where you meant to write, let's say, the woman's name Suki, and it comes up with sukiyaki instead. This is how you can turn that off. So that is your autocorrect that is thinking it is smarter than you are. So you also have options for Smart Compose, meaning if you write a lot that says something along the lines of look forward to hearing from you soon, if all you write is look FOR, it will fill in the rest and all you have to do is hit enter. So that's kind of Smart Compose. It starts to get to know your habits based on what you write a lot. But you can also obviously choose to turn that off. And you can personalize just about everything else here, from replies to desktop notifications. You can also choose, when I talked about starring an email message, this is how you can star a message. So all of these come automatically with your inbox. And you have to choose to drag them from the bottom where it says not in use to the top where it says in use. So you just click on one of these messages, click on it with your mouse, and you drag it up to that top bar, and now it will be in use. So doing that, if you cycle through a message, they help you to categorize like what's really important, let's say. And you can even choose to put them in like the order that you want to see all of these in this pane. So let's say you want to see all of these first. So if I go back to my inbox, so if I have this, you see there's a little star symbol that's highlighted if I hover over it next to my message here. If I click on that star, it comes out in colors right away. And then little symbols. So generally red is like high priority. I don't know how each one of you guys view it, but usually to me, red is high priority. Like work on it right now. If I have yellow, that's like, I already dealt with some of it. It can wait just a little bit longer. If I get to green, that means it's dealt with. Done. So that's like a check mark. And then you have I, which is usually information. That's what the I stands for. So you wanted more information on that. And then they also have an option for question mark, which is purple. I don't understand or whatever. So sometimes these are helpful to organize your inbox. So if you get a lot of messages every day, you can check each one, color code it based on level of priority. So that way, if you see anything red, it says, I got to deal with this right now. Yellow, maybe this afternoon or tomorrow morning. And green, I've already handled it. So any questions about anything like that? Okay. So these are obviously just your basic settings. Under your general settings, this is also where you can choose to do keyboard shortcuts. If you want to, you can change all of your buttons. So what we just showed, any of those buttons that came up in the top, like spam, like whatever, I have them as icons. That's the default for Gmail. But you can choose to have them as text. So when you hover over it, instead of seeing a little stop sign with an exclamation, it will actually just say spam. Or it will say move to automatically. So this is also where you can change your picture. And that picture will appear underneath not just Google, but your Gmail. It will appear under all of your Google accounts. So this picture is what you'll see in any other Google account you're signed into. Like I said earlier, this is where you can create a signature. If there's a quote that you particularly like or what have you, you can also do like a handwritten signature through this, or a simulated one anyway. And you can also do vacation responders. So we already talked about labels somewhat, but let's talk about it a little bit more here. This is your next tab. You first have general and then you have labels. So I clicked on labels. Labels are what Gmail calls folders. They're the same thing. So labels and folders are the same thing. It's just their name for it. Labels are what you see here. All of these in the left sidebar, these are labels. They're also folders. So if somebody asked, and it may have been you, Nancy, when we talked about this before, how do I change the order of the labels that I see, the folders that I see, because I don't want to see snoozed or whatever up here. This is where you can get into. Sadly, you cannot drag and drop anything in the sidebar. Google is not smart enough for that. Don't ask me why, but that's not the way they do things. What you can do is you can click show or hide on each one. And if I hide a particular thing, like let's use snoozed for an example. I click on hide, it's show right now. So you see how it says snoozed here in my sidebar with that little clock symbol? If I click hide, that disappears. So ideally, if we did this right, it shows up now underneath below. So remember I said earlier about the spam folder being under more in that little downward arrow? Well, because I clicked hide under snoozed, snoozed appears down here. So that is a good way of changing what you see and how you see it. So then the next tab that you get to under your settings is your inbox. We talked about that before when it comes to your tabs. You can also, like we said before, you can enable a reading pane, which is that split screen that we were talking about, Nancy. And you can choose to have it in the right of your inbox, which is what you currently said you have set up. You can have it below your inbox, meaning here's the inbox and here's your message below. So these are ways of also filtering your messages that you see. So the next tab that you find is accounts and import. And I think, Ted, this is what you were talking about the last time you had a question about that. So from here, you can change your password for your Google account. You can change the way you have recovery options for your account. And this is where you can import. So if I said, okay, I have a Yahoo mail account, but I want to see everything under this one because I'm tired of getting into both email accounts. It's driving me crazy. You can click on import mail and contacts, type in your email address and your password, and ideally it will come up with all of your contacts and all of your emails that you would normally get to that Yahoo account in here. So you effectively linked the two. So, yes, Nancy?
Now, can you make yourself like another email if you want? Is that what you could do here too? Or just if I had one at Yahoo? Because
If
I
you
don't know
have
how
one
to
at
make
anywhere
one.
else, let's say you wanted to have your UNM email account show up under your Gmail or vice
Ah.
versa. You can have any other email account. It's any other, not to be technical, but they use something called POP3, and it's post office protocol is what POP stands for. It's a certain type of an email. It's, sorry for being technical, but it's a certain type of an email account, and any email account that works on POP3 can be imported into your Gmail.
Okay, thank you.
So you can choose here to say the same thing, send email as. So you can use Gmail to send from your other email addresses. So I could say, well, gee, I only want to get into this email account, but I want it to appear that it's showing from my business email. I can click here, add another email address, so that when I send an email, it will show up as my business email address instead of Paperwings Pages at Gmail. So you can also check email from another account. Like I said, without even importing it, you can just check your email from another account by linking the two. You add a mail account here. So you basically just link the two accounts.
You add the email account there, but then you go to your inbox to check.
Uh-huh.
Check. Okay.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So, and then it says underneath, the last thing that you see here is add additional storage. Every Gmail account comes with 15 gigabytes of free storage. That's just what they do. And if you come up with more than that, you have to pay however much a month. So it ends up being, I don't know, I think their basic plan is like $2 or $3 a month, and then it goes up from there depending on how much storage space you need. As you can see, even on this on this email, I have like 0.04 gigabytes, so it doesn't take up much space. Most emails don't. Unless you have a lot of people sending you lots of pictures or lots of text, like PDF heavy kind of contracts or documents, it probably won't take up too much space.
Can you import just your contacts from another account? Not the email,
No,
but
you
just the
have to
contacts.
import your mail and your contacts. I believe you have to do both. So if I click on import mail and contacts, it says here, what account do you want to import from? And then you have to put in your email address and then hit continue. And then it will set you up from there. So
Huh.
I wish that there was just an easier way to do that. They certainly make it very easy to check emails and to do other things, but at this point, I haven't seen just an easy way to do contacts. Yes, Nancy?
See, oh, I'm still on. My problem is I just don't even want to touch any of these things because I think I'm going to goof up everything. And it's like, oh my gosh, what if, I couldn't get back to it, or I don't know. I guess it won't goof up. That's what my daughter tells me, but it's just like,
It's really tough to goof it up. The only way that you could potentially goof something up is if you are linking two different email accounts. I suppose you could probably do that. But if
Oh.
you're just changing basic settings like the way your screen is split, or
yeah, that's okay.
the
to do.
background, or the text size, you can always undo it. You can always go back again. Like if you change your text size and you say, well, gee, I want to see it as large, you can always go back that gear symbol and then all settings, and then go back here again and click normal. You can
Okay, well,
always
that's good.
do it.
And then most of the defaults are just kind of the normal way that Google or whatever thinks everyone wants.
Yeah, that's kind of the general way that they think everybody would want to see it. So,
Okay,
all of these are just if you want to make it look different because it's just more comfortable for you or the way that you work. So,
okay, thank you.
sure thing.
To follow up on my question, I was asking about importing just contacts.
Uh-huh.
If I have to import all of that, would there be a way for me to separate the incoming emails from that other account so that I could go in and delete them all?
Yeah, I believe I have no personal experience with this, but I do believe if you say like check email from other accounts, you wouldn't want to import it. Then all you're looking to do is just check your email from another account. That other account will then pop up on your sidebar over here, and it will show up as like your name at yahoo.com or mybusiness.com or whatever it is. And you click on that, and then you can check all of your messages and delete your messages just from there. That's how they'll separate the two.
Okay, so they would all be indicated from lisa.massimo@comcast.net.
Uh-huh.
And I could go through and indicate, is there a way to indicate all and then delete? Or you have to do one
I'm
at a
not
time?
entirely sure what you mean by indicate all.
Okay, and instead of checking off one individual email at a time from that import process,
Mm-hmm.
can I
Yes,
indicate, just delete the entire file, all of the stuff that just came in? It would
you should be
line
able
them
to
all up.
do that. Like
So that
if
would-
you, like I said, sounds to me like you're looking more, instead of importing it, you're looking more to check email from another account. So you basically just link the two without importing. And
What
that
I'm
way it would show up in your sidebar. And then if you want to delete everything because that account is like overwhelming and you don't need the messages, whatever, you can do that in your Gmail as well. There's a little box that's in the top above all of your emails. There's a little box up there. You click on that,
Yes,
and
And that
then there's the
indicates them
garbage
all.
can, and you can
Right.
delete all.
okay.
Same thing would work for that too.
So yeah, what I'm trying to accomplish is to import, since I have to import it all,
Mhm.
and simply keep the contacts and delete all the emails.
There's probably a way of doing that, yes. So like I said, I have not done it personally myself. But I suppose that that would be a way you could do that. However, if you're going to import it, what you're going to end up with is any new messages to that other email coming into this email.
Okay, then I don't want to do that. All right, that was good. All right, that's what I needed to know.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So that would probably not be the way. If you're just looking to simplify it because you don't want to check 2 different email accounts, the easiest way to do that would be to just check your email from this account without deleting it.
Yeah, it's not the incoming emails that I want. It's the contact list. My Comcast email got hacked, and they deleted my entire contact list and all my sent emails. Nice, huh? So I had to go back in and one at a time set that back up. My choice now is to use that or go ahead and one at a time set all of those contacts back up in Gmail. I was trying to think of a shortcut instead of doing populating the new Gmail account with all of my contacts one at a time.
Sure, I understand, because that would be really, really difficult. Let me do a little bit more research about that and see what is possible, because I haven't actually worked with that myself to do with a hacked account, and see what would be possible as far as just importing your contacts. I do know that Google, if this makes sense, Google, and this is outside of Gmail, so I probably shouldn't even mention this because this is a Gmail class. But when you sign up for Gmail, you have access to the full G Suite, which is these 9 little dots in the right of your screen. So you click on that, and there is a feature in here that is, let me find it here, contacts.
Right.
And so you could put all of your contacts into that, and then you would have access to it automatically without having it just in your Gmail. Does that make sense? Because that's kind of like your online address book.
That's what I've been doing.
Yeah.
I've been
might
going
be a
into there
way
and
that you can import your contacts from here. Let's see. There may be ways to import your contacts from here. Yeah, here, import. So you can import, if you have a file of your contacts, so if you could download your Comcast contacts like in a file onto your computer, you could select file from here, and then it would automatically import them all into your Google contacts. So it would stop you from doing it one by one. So that might be your easiest way of doing that. If there's a way of exporting from your Comcast contacts, you could select the file from here and then import.
okay, well, that covers steps I know nothing about.
Can you repeat that? How to sync all your contacts to your computer?
Okay, so basically how you would do that is this, sorry, this is getting way off context for a Gmail class, but this is to do with your Google contacts, and you access those. That's part of your Google account. That's just something that comes with it. And you access those through those 9 dots in the top right of your screen. Click on that, and you see this round symbol with a person in it that says contacts. You click on that, and then you see on the left sidebar, it says import. And you click on import, and then it says to import contacts, select a CSV, which is like Excel, those kind of like a spreadsheet file, or a vCard file. So if you have if you use QuickBooks or most email kind of things, if you're gonna export something, it will come out as a CSV file. You don't even have to worry about it. And you can also create multiple contacts from here. So, but you'd basically hit select file and then click on the one that's already stored in your computer, and it will automatically upload it and import it, and you don't have to do anything. So. Okay, so Is there any other? We're kind of at the questions phase here of the class. So does anybody have any questions? Any other questions to do
I
with
have-
Gmail or settings or contacts or anything else?
I have one with on my smartphone.
Mhm.
Being like with Optum, I go through a doctor every about 9 months. So I have 4 doctors with the same phone number, but I can't delete them. Or when I edit it, it comes back with the oldest doctor still in there. So
Okay.
what I want to do is just change the name on that phone number,
Uh-huh.
but it says I can't do it. So does that mean I have to actually log into my Gmail account and edit it there?
It sounds like you might have to. Do you have your Gmail account linked to your phone?
Yes. I have
Okay.
two
So you
emails.
might need to get into your contacts in your Gmail account and edit it from there. I'm
Well-
not entirely sure how the Android platform works that way, but that may be something that you need to do if it has linked those two.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mhm. Lisa, Nancy, anybody have any other questions? I hope I haven't overwhelmed you guys. I can't hear you, Nancy.
Not. I'm gonna have to go, but it was really a great class. I hope we
Okay.
could continue. It was good.
Well, I hope you got something out of it. So it's sort of an
Definitely.
overwhelming topic. There's a lot to
Oh
know.
my-
And there's a lot of
Yeah.
fiddly little settings and extra things that you can do and customize and rearrange and change. So
Yes, thank you.
sure thing. You have a happy holidays, Nancy.
Oh, you too. I probably won't see you guys. Yes, be safe. Talk to you
Jillian, thank you
later.
so much for a great class.
Yeah, you're very welcome. So I hope I answered your questions, Lisa and Ted. So
Yes, you did. You
it does sound like that would be your easiest way, Lisa. If there's a way, you might want to look at your Comcast folder and see if there's an easy way of like exporting your contacts that you have already imported into it. And if there is, you can just import them into Google without even having to do one by one. I can't hear you. You're muted.
Thank you. Yes, I will try that.
Okay.
Thank you, Jillian. You're the best. Thank you. I really appreciate all your experience and expertise, and thanks for making this happen.
Oh, you're very, very welcome. So I'm so glad I could be of help. So you have a happy holidays and hopefully we'll see you again next month. So
Yes, ma'am.
see you guys later.